I could keep teasing you until you broke. Rowan felt his breath stutter. You wouldn't dare. Blaze pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. Oh baby, I live to dare. He slid one hand up Rowan's spine, under his hoodie, fingers trailing across bare skin. Rowan's back arched slightly, just enough for Blaze to notice. You're so sensitive, Blaze whispered. I bet if I kissed your neck right now. Don't, Rowan warned, already breathless. Blaze smirked, and then kissed him there anyway. Right beneath the ear. Slow, soft, dangerous. Rowan gasped, whole body tensing. Still want to pretend this is nothing? Blaze asked against his skin. Rowan gritted his teeth. You're just messing with me. Maybe. Blaze's hand slid lower, gripping Rowan's waist and pulling him closer, until their hips were pressed tightly together. But you're not getting up, are you? Rowan hated how right he was. You could move, Blaze said, voice almost gentle. If you really wanted to. Rowan didn't move. Instead, he said through clenched teeth, I swear if you don't stop. Blaze interrupted him with a slow grind of his hips. Rowan let out a noise that was definitely a moan. Oh, that's what you sound like, Blaze said, cocky and dangerous now. Rowan glared. You're doing this on purpose. Obviously. Blaze's grip tightened, his tone soft but wicked. I want to see how long you can take it. I'm not playing your game. Another roll of Blaze's hips. Rowan clutched at his shoulders, trying not to moan. You're playing, Blaze whispered. You just don't want to lose. Rowan bit his lip hard enough to hurt. His hoodie had ridden up. Blaze's hands were everywhere. His waist, his back, his thighs, touching like he had all the time in the world. You're squirming, Blaze murmured. I can feel you, Rowan. Rowan's head dropped forward onto Blaze's shoulder, breathing heavily. Say it, Blaze said, voice dark. Say you want it. Rowan shook his head. No, say it, and I'll give it to you. Rowan gritted his teeth. Blaze slid his hand up his hoodie again, thumb brushing the bare skin just under his chest. Rowan whimpered, actually whimpered. Rowan, Blaze whispered, his voice rough with restraint. Say please. There was silence, then a soft, humiliated, please. Blaze froze, then smiled like he'd just won a war. Good boy. He kissed him. Not soft, not gentle, desperate. Rowan grabbed his hair, yanking him impossibly closer, gasping into the kiss as Blaze's hands pulled him down hard against his lap. The cuffs clinked against Blaze's chest, forgotten, and neither of them were pretending anymore. Their bodies were tangled, pressed together with need. Every movement dragged a gasp from Rowan's lips, every grind made his mind blur. The cuffs pressed into his wrist with every tug, but he didn't care. Rowan's head dropped back with a soft moan. Blaze's mouth moved to his neck, kissing lower, slower. God, Blaze murmured against him, voice low and ragged. You feel so good. You sound so heavenly. At that moment, it was like a light flicked on. Rowan froze. Everything slammed into focus at once. He was on Blaze's lap, his hands in Rowan's clothes, his lips at Rowan's throat. The cuffs, the room, the fact that they'd hated each other 3 days ago, that Rowan had literally climbed into his lap, begged him for more, and was now panting. Oh my God, Rowan whispered. Blaze pulled back a little, confused. What? Rowan looked down at himself, at Blaze, at the fact that he was half undressed, flushed, trembling, pressed hard against Blaze's chest. And Blaze was still holding his hips like he owned them. What the hell are we doing? Rowan breathed, panic crawling up his throat. What am I doing? Blaze blinked, still catching his breath. Rowan. No, seriously. What? How did this even happen? Rowan scrambled off him, or tried to, only the cuffs jerked their hands together, making him nearly trip. Blaze sat up fast. Hey, it's okay. No, it's not. I was on you. Like a freaking heat-struck cat, Rowan yanked his hoodie down. Blaze raised his free hand slowly. Rowan, it's okay. Don't say it's okay. Rowan was pacing in circles now, dragging Blaze with him like a helpless accessory. I was grinding on you like some kind of desperate. You're not desperate, Blaze said quietly. Rowan turned on him. Don't do that. Don't pretend you care. I'm not pretending. Rowan froze. The room was silent, just their breathing and the soft clink of the handcuffs. Rowan stared at him, eyes wide. You were just teasing. That's what you do. Blaze swallowed. You didn't seem like you wanted me to stop. I didn't know what I was doing, Rowan snapped. I lost control. It was just a game. And what if it wasn't? Blaze asked, softer now. What if I don't want it to be a game anymore? Rowan looked away. I need to sleep, he muttered, turning and dragging Blaze toward the bed like the conversation hadn't happened. Just sleep. Blaze followed without arguing. They lay down in silence, back to back. Neither of them spoke. The next morning, Blaze woke first, still on his side, still cuffed, still very much remembering Rowan's voice in his ear the night before, whispering please like it meant something. He blinked, only to realize Rowan had already sat up on the bed, pulling his hoodie back on in silence. Hey, Blaze rasped. You okay? Rowan didn't even look at him. Morning, he said curtly. We should shower, get dressed, eat, whatever. Blaze blinked. You're okay. I'm fine, Rowan said, standing and dragging Blaze up with him by the wrist. Let's just get through today. Blaze stood, confused and still tangled in the blanket. Okay, what's going on? Are we not going to talk about last night? There's nothing to talk about. You literally sat in my lap and moaned my name, Blaze said, eyes narrowing. Pretty sure that's something. Rowan finally turned jaw tight. Yeah? Well, pretty sure it was a mistake. Ouch. Blaze's stomach dropped. Mistake, he echoed. Seriously, don't make a big deal out of it. Blaze let out a breath, backing off like the words physically shoved him. Right, cool, he muttered. Eventually, Rowan turned back toward the bathroom. We're handcuffed for 3 more days. So let's just pretend nothing happened and move on. Blaze didn't reply. Later that day, despite the awkward tension, they went about their day in silence. Eating breakfast, avoiding eye contact, bumping shoulders every time one of them moved too close. By afternoon, Theo called Rowan. Are guys coming to the group movie night or no? And Blaze, out of pure spite, replied yes before Rowan could say a thing. We're going, Blaze said flatly as he pulled Rowan out the door. Fine, Rowan snapped. They arrived at Theo and Zane's dorm, where everyone else had already claimed their spots. The room was cozy, dimly lit, and full of snacks. But there was a problem. Yo, Theo said, popping a gummy into his mouth. We're short one chair. Guess someone's gonna have to share, Zane added, barely hiding his grin. Rowan glared. Not happening. Zane smirked. You're literally handcuffed together. What are you gonna do? Sit on opposite ends of the couch. Theo clapped his hands. Just sit in the beanbag, you do. It's big enough. Blaze sighed and dropped into the beanbag, dragging Rowan down on top of him. The entire room went like high schoolers watching a drama scene unfold. Rowan flushed red. This isn't shut up all of you. But it was too late. The beanbag swallowed them both, squishing them chest to chest. Their legs tangled together. Comfy? Theo asked innocently. Rowan gave him the middle finger. They stayed like that for 2 full movies, both pretending it was fine. After the movie, they finally got home. The second the door shut behind them at Blaze's apartment, Rowan tried walking off on his own, but the damn handcuffs yanked Blaze with him. Oh dude, Blaze hissed as he stumbled forward. What is your problem? You are, Rowan snapped. You've been acting weird ever since last night. Blaze blinked, stunned. Me? You're the one acting like I committed war crimes just by existing next to you. I can't even sleep without waking up on top of you. Rowan yelled. I need space. Blaze, space. Blaze stepped closer, eyes dark. Then stop crawling into my space every damn night. Rowan flushed, instantly defensive. I don't crawl. Really? Blaze interrupted. So last night when your knee was between my legs and your hand was on my ABS, that was an accident. Rowan's mouth opened, closed, opened again. I swear to God, if you don't shut up. What? Blaze stepped forward again, closing the distance. You'll get all flustered and fall into my lap again. That's kind of your thing now, huh? Rowan shoved him. Blaze stumbled back and the handcuffs yanked Rowan forward too, right into his chest. They froze. Panting, flushed, breathing hard. Blaze's eyes dropped to Rowan's lips. You want to do this? Just fight until one of us gives in. Rowan glared at him. If you're expecting me to melt just because you're taller, then you admit it. Blaze cut him off. You're in denial. Rowan shoved at his chest again. You're impossible. And then, just when the tension felt like it might snap, Rowan turned his head away with a scoff and stormed toward the bedroom, pulling Blaze. You're sleeping on the floor tonight. We both know I won't be. Blaze muttered. What was that? Nothing, Blaze sang sweetly, letting himself be dragged by Rowan. That night, Blaze tossed a pillow dramatically onto the floor like he wasn't going to end up back in the bed anyway. Fine, floor, love it down here. So spacious, so back pain core. Rowan didn't respond. He flopped down on the bed and crossed his arms, pretending the other half of the handcuff didn't lead to a guy currently muttering about ungrateful twinks while making a nest of spare blankets. 10 minutes passed and his arms started to hurt from the handcuff being pulled at such a weird angle. He sat up and peered over the edge of the bed. Get up here. Blaze blinked up at him. What was that? I said get up here before I changed my mind. Oh, Blaze grinned, standing up way too fast. You miss me already, huh? Rowan shoved a pillow into his face. You're not that special. I just want to sleep without dislocating my shoulder. Sure. No need to confess your true feelings. They both lay back down, separate sides. That lasted 10 minutes. Because the bed was small, the blanket was thin, Blaze was warm. Rowan didn't even realize when it happened, but somewhere between dozing off, Blaze's hand settled on his waist and pulled him close, and his legs slid between Rowan's. They woke up in the exact same position they always did, Rowan's face tucked under Blaze's chin, his hand on Blaze's chest. The next morning, Rowan groaned the second he saw the sun peeking through the blinds. They got dressed in a weird silence, avoiding each other's eyes. When they got to school, campus was alive. Blaze and Rowan, still handcuffed, were walking through the courtyard in awkward silence. Rowan tugged on his hoodie and hissed under his breath, "Stop walking so fast, you're yanking my arm." Blaze smirked, "Walk faster, shorty. I am Giraffe Boy." "Hey, Rowan." The voice cut through their bickering and Rowan turned and blinked up at a tall, broad-shouldered guy. It was Dylan Reeves, local flirt, campus pretty boy. Rowan blinked. "Ah, hey." Dylan smiled, easy and charming. "Didn't know you were back on campus. You look good." Rowan stuttered, tugging nervously at the hem of his hoodie. "Oh, yeah, I guess." Blaze narrowed his eyes. "He always looks good." Rowan turned to look at him, raising his eyebrows. "Anyway," Dylan continued, clearly unbothered, "are you free this weekend? Thought maybe we could grab a drink." Before Rowan could respond, Blaze stepped between them like a human shield. "He's busy," Blaze said flatly. Dylan raised an eyebrow. "With you, is that a problem?" Rowan hissed. "Blaze, unless you're into watching from a distance," Blaze added. "He's spoken for." Rowan made a strangled sound. "I am not." Blaze turned, grabbed Rowan by the waist, and kissed him. Right there, right in the middle of the courtyard. It was quick but possessive, just a claiming kiss. And when Blaze pulled back, Rowan's mouth was still parted in shock. "Why, did you just?" Dylan blinked, then gave a low whistle. "Damn, all right, message received," and walked off. Rowan turned and punched Blaze in the shoulder. "Are you insane?" Blaze grinned. Don't act like you didn't like it." "I didn't, I hated it. I'm traumatized." "Your hand's still on my chest." Rowan looked down, then yanked it back like he'd been burned. Blaze winked. "You're welcome. I will end you." "I did you a favor," Blaze said, walking away, dragging Rowan along with him. "You did me a trauma," Rowan muttered. They were halfway across campus when Theo popped out from behind a vending machine, looking too excited. "There you are, perfect timing." Rowan blinked. "Why are you grinning like that?" Zane appeared behind him, carrying a suspiciously large duffel bag. "You're both coming with us. Team building emergency." Rowan narrowed his eyes. "No." Blaze blinked. "Yes." "What? Why?" Rowan snapped, turning on him. "I want to see where this leads." Blaze smirked. "You have problems." Zane grinned happily. "Now come on." Theo dragged them into an empty room with floor-to-ceiling mirrors. In the center was a pile of pool noodles, scarves and balloons. "What the hell is this?" Rowan said flatly. "It's a bonding exercise," Theo announced, "to improve your communication." Zane handed them each a scarf and a pool noodle like this was totally normal. "Welcome to Handcuffed Rivals, Domestic Edition." "I hate this already," Rowan muttered. "Oh, you'll hate it more in a second," Theo chirped. Game 1 popped the balloon. Theo pulled out a small stack of balloons and grinned. "All right, couples, sorry, partners, your first task is to pop these balloons, but not with your hands." Blaze tilted his head. "Then how?" "Use your bodies." "There." Rowan's jaw dropped. You want us to grind balloons until they pop? Yes, Zane said brightly. No, Rowan snapped. Blaze had already grabbed a balloon and was smirking. Let's do this, babe. Rowan groaned. I hope this balloon suffocates you. Theo played dramatic music from his phone while Rowan and Blaze awkwardly bumped hips, chests, thighs, until one balloon popped. Blaze grinned at him. You're good at this. I will end you. Game 2 Scarf Tangle. Zane tossed two long silky scarves on the floor. Now, you two need to tie your legs together and walk across the room. Classic three-legged race. Blaze crouched to tie it. Tied together and handcuffed, they hobbled across the floor. Rowan tripped once and Blaze caught him. Game 3 Say Something Nice. Theo grinned. Last challenge. You each have to say one genuinely nice thing about the other. No sarcasm, or you have to start the games all over again. Rowan's eyes widened in horror. No. Blaze raised a brow. Does Rowan's a hot mess I enjoy harassing count? Nope, Theo said. Rowan scowled and crossed his arms. Blaze leaned closer, unexpectedly quiet. You're smart, like, really smart. And you care more than you let on. Rowan blinked. His ears turned red. He swallowed. Well, I think you're not as terrible as I thought you were. Sometimes, maybe. Zane clapped dramatically. Wow, growth, romance, passive aggression. Theo wiped a fake tear. They grow up so fast. Rowan flipped them off with both hands. Blaze just grinned and tugged him out of the room. After Theo and Zane's weird games, Rowan fully expected Blaze to launch into more smug teasing on the walk back. But for once, he was quiet. Not awkward quiet, just thoughtful quiet. They walked side by side through campus, handcuffed as always. Students milled around them in loud, energetic groups. But somehow, it felt like Rowan and Blaze were sealed in their own little bubble. Rowan looked sideways. Blaze's expression was unreadable. You good? Rowan asked, surprising even himself. Blaze looked at him, like he wasn't expecting the question. Yeah. A beat passed. Rowan cleared his throat. You were quiet. I figured you'd be milking the whole balloon grinding moment for jokes all week. Blaze gave him a slow, sideways grin. Don't tempt me. I'm trying to be chill. Rowan raised an eyebrow. Since when? Since I realized you don't actually hate spending time with me. Rowan snorted. I do. Few hours later, back at Blaze's apartment, Rowan flopped onto the couch with a dramatic sigh, dragging Blaze down beside him. Ooh, we are never doing that again. Blaze didn't respond. He just sat there, eyes slightly glazed like he was still replaying everything in his head. The balloon game, the part where they had to say something nice without using sarcasm, and Rowan saw it. Blaze wasn't that terrible. Rowan nudged him. Hey, to dumbass. Blaze blinked. You're doing that thing again. What thing? The thinking thing. What's up with you? Blaze shifted slightly, still not looking at him. Rowan sighed. Seriously, what's going on? You've been weird since we left the Theo and Zane. There was a long pause. Then Blaze turned toward him slowly, expression unreadable, voice lower than usual. You said I'm not as terrible as you thought I was. Rowan's entire brain stalled. What? Blaze leaned back on the couch like he was trying to be casual, but his gaze stayed pinned to Rowan. During that dumb game, with Theo and Zane, the Say Something Nice challenge, Blaze shrugged. You said I'm not as terrible as you thought I was. Rowan blinked. So, Blaze said, voice quiet now. I haven't stopped thinking about that. Rowan was quiet for a second too long. Then he coughed and rolled his eyes. Oh my God, are you seriously still clinging to that? Yes. Why? Because you don't say stuff like that. Not to me, not to anyone. And then you did. So now my brain won't shut up about it. It was part of the game. We were forced to say something nice. Right, Blaze said, still watching him. But you didn't lie. Rowan's eyes narrowed. You don't know that. I do. You're annoying. You think I'm not as terrible as you thought I was, Blaze said smugly, quoting him. Rowan covered his face. I take it back. No take-backs. That's permanent now. It's part of my core identity. Rowan Evans said I'm not that bad. Blaze, I'm going to tell everyone. I swear to God. I'll post it online. You're so dumb. And you're into it, Blaze said, eyes glittering with something dangerous. Rowan opened his mouth, and then shut it again, because the truth was, he kinda was. He was also still sitting on the couch with him, not moving away. Letting Blaze lean closer, letting the air between them grow heavier again. I hate that you remember stuff I say, Rowan muttered. I hate that I want you to say more. Rowan's heart stuttered. Blaze didn't break eye contact. You want to say something else? Blaze murmured. You could. I wouldn't stop you. Rowan shoved him lightly, causing Blaze to chuckle under his breath. Neither of them said anything after that, but the silence felt different this time. It was the next day. The morning sun streamed into the lecture hall. Blaze slouched in his chair, while Rowan sat beside him, handcuffs still on. Of course. Just then, Professor Valencia swept into the room. She slapped a folder onto the desk and glanced at Rowan and Blaze. Well, look at that. You guys are still alive. Define alive, Rowan muttered. I'll take not hospitalized as a win, she deadpanned. Now, since you've somehow made it to day 6 without stabbing each other with blunt pencils, I've decided you're ready for your final challenge. Rowan straightened. Final what now? Valencia smiled. The terrifying kind. For your final test in cooperation, she said, you're going on a date. Silence. A pin could have dropped and shattered. Rowan blinked. Oh what? Not typically a date. But you'll go out together. In public. I want photos. Receipts. You can't be serious, Rowan hissed. Oh, I'm dead serious, she said, already walking back to her desk. Go to a cafe. See a movie. Take a walk. I don't care. But you're going to spend the entire afternoon and evening together. Holding hands is optional, but encouraged. Zane snorted behind them. Theo leaned in. I know a great date spot. Cute lighting, romantic vibes. I can even recommend an outfit, Rowan. I will punch you. Valencia continued. Complete the challenge successfully, and you'll be in cuff tomorrow morning. Fail, and I might just extend this bonding experience. Blaze turned slowly to Rowan with a wicked smirk. So, you free tonight? A few hours later, Rowan hated how much he didn't hate this. The movie theater was practically empty. Just an older couple near the front, a guy scrolling on his phone 5 rows away, and them, all the way in the back corner with a shared soda, popcorn, and tension. The air between them practically sizzled. Blaze kept brushing their shoulders together, letting his thigh graze Rowan's, acting like it wasn't on purpose. It was so on purpose. Rowan kept his eyes glued to the screen. It was some dumb action movie. Rowan kept his eyes glued to the screen. It was some dumb action movie. But all he could think about was Blaze's fingers tapping slowly against his leg. Could you not? Rowan hissed under his breath. Blaze leaned in, voice low and smug. Not what? You know what? Blaze's smirk brushed his ear. You mean this? His pinky traced a line just above Rowan's knee, feather light. Rowan jerked. Stop touching me. Can't. We're handcuffed. Remember? Yeah. But your hand doesn't need to be up my thigh. Blaze chuckled, settling back. His hand didn't move. In fact, it got bolder. The screen flashed with gunfire. Rowan didn't flinch, because Blaze's fingers were now resting on his thigh. Rowan exhaled sharply through his nose. We're in public, he muttered. There's like 3 people here, Blaze whispered, and none of them care. Rowan didn't answer, because Blaze's hand was inching higher. Slow. Teasing. You want me to stop? Blaze asked, voice low. Rowan turned to him sharply, needing to snap something back, but Blaze was already watching him. Dark, hungry, and close. So close. Rowan's voice died in his throat. Blaze leaned in just a little more, lips nearly brushing his. Rowan's pulse exploded. He didn't move away. He should have. He didn't. Instead, Blaze's lips brushed the corner of Rowan's. You want me to stop? He repeated. Rowan clenched his jaw. I will set you on fire. Blaze grinned. Guess that's a no. Rowan shoved a handful of popcorn in his own mouth just to shut himself up. Blaze's hand stayed right where it was, resting high on Rowan's thigh, fingers twitching like they were fighting the urge to do more. Rowan tried watching the movie. He saw exactly 0 of it. Few hours later, they were finally home. Blaze shoved open the door to his apartment and practically dragged Rowan inside by the wrist. Rowan stumbled a little, laughing obliviously. You're walking like someone just challenged you to a duel. Blaze locked the door behind them with a click and turned around. His eyes were dark. Rowan swallowed. What? He asked, suddenly all too aware of the way Blaze's fingers were still looped through his. Blaze didn't answer. He just took a slow step forward. Did you have fun? He asked, voice low. Rowan huffed. If this is about the popcorn I threw at you. It's not. Another step closer. Their chests brushed. Blaze's free hand braced the wall beside Rowan's head. Rowan's heart was thundering, his throat dry. You kept squirming, Blaze said, eyes locked on his lips. In the theater. I was uncomfortable. Liar. You were touching my thigh. And you didn't stop me. Rowan's voice caught. Blaze moved even closer, their mouths brushing now. You didn't want to stop me, Blaze whispered. And with that, he kissed him. Not soft, not careful. It was all pent-up frustration, messy hunger, and a week of tension boiling over. Rowan made a muffled sound of surprise, but didn't pull away. He kissed back. Hard. Blaze groaned against his mouth, handcuffing the back of Rowan's neck, tugging him forward. Rowan's back slammed into the wall and Blaze pressed into him like he wanted to leave an imprint. They broke apart just long enough to breathe. You're ridiculous, Rowan gasped, cheeks flushed. I'm obsessed with you, Blaze shot back, eyes wild. Shut up. They kissed again, rougher, hungrier. Blaze's mouth trailed hotly down his jaw to his throat. Rowan's fingers tangled in Blaze's shirt, breath hitching as his lips sucked on his skin. Blaze! Ah, Blaze murmured, voice smug against Rowan's neck as he nipped hard. Rowan swore, grabbing his shoulder. You're leaving a mark. Good. The next day Rowan stirred slowly under the covers, blinking at the warm sunlight pouring in through the window. Blaze's arm was draped over his waist. Again. Their wrists were still locked together. Blaze's familiar breath brushed the back of Rowan's neck. Rowan didn't want to move. He turned his head slightly. Hey. Blaze didn't answer, but his arm tightened ever so slightly around Rowan's waist. Rowan smiled sleepily. You awake? Yeah. He shifted to look at him, and Blaze slowly opened his eyes. Morning. Rowan raised an eyebrow. You're not being annoying. Did I break you? Blaze gave a half-hearted smirk, trying something new. Thought I'd be emotionally mature for once. Rowan snorted. Gross. Go back to being insufferable. They lay in silence for a moment, the handcuff between them gleaming faintly in the morning light. Rowan exhaled. So, this is it, huh? Blaze's smirk faded. Professor Valencia's unlocking us today, Rowan added, voice quieter now. You excited to finally be rid of me? Blaze didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at their hands. The chain, the way they'd started naturally sensing. Sleeping back to back, brushing teeth together, passing things to each other without thinking. Rowan had even stopped flinching when their fingers brushed. It had become normal. No, Blaze finally muttered. Rowan blinked. No, I'm not excited. Rowan stared at him. Blaze sat up slowly, their hands still locked. I thought I would be. First day, I wanted to throw you out a window. Rude. You wanted to punch me first. True. They exchanged a quiet smile. Then Blaze added, softer, but now it's weird. The idea of not waking up next to you. Of you not being there when I turn around. Of not touching you whenever I want. Rowan's heart skipped. Blaze scratched the back of his head, suddenly sheepish. I dunno. Maybe the handcuff was kind of our thing. Rowan swallowed. It was punishment. Yeah. And I liked it. What does that say about me? You've got issues. They both laughed. But the mood didn't lift all the way. What if, Blaze said carefully, we're still a thing, even after the cuffs are off? Rowan looked at him. Blaze's voice was nervous now. Like, obviously we don't have to share a bed anymore, or shower together. Or keep making out when you're pretending you're mad at me. I was mad at you, but you still let me bite your neck. Rowan went red instantly. I'm just saying, Blaze said, tugging gently on the cuff between them. I don't want to lose this just because the metal's gone. Me either, Rowan whispered. For a moment, the air between them felt thick. Blaze blinked, then offered a wide smile. Okay, so we're on the same page. Rowan nodded slowly, cheeks faintly pink. Same page, weird right? Totally, Blaze said, but he looked like he'd just won the lottery. They lay there for a second longer, until Rowan sat up sighing. We should probably go to school. Yeah. Blaze made a dramatic groan and flopped back onto the pillow. No, let's stay like this, just forever. Rowan rolled his eyes, stood, and tugged the handcuff sharply. Up, drama queen. Blaze grumbled the whole way to the bathroom while they brushed their teeth side by side. Now used to it. They got dressed and headed out of the apartment. They walked into class barely on time. Blaze looked smug as hell, while Rowan looked like he hadn't slept, and kept pulling at the collar of his hoodie. Theo and Zane spotted them from across the room and immediately perked up. Zane elbowed Theo. "Check Rowan's neck." Theo gasped. "Oh my god, is that what I think it is?" Rowan hissed. "Shut up." Too late. Professor Valencia looked up from her coffee, squinting. "Is that a hickey?" Rowan froze like a kid caught sneaking cheat during a test. Half the class turned around to stare at him. The other half tried to hold back cackles, only to fail. Someone whispered, "I knew it," while another snapped a photo like it was breaking news. Rowan blinked. "What? No, it's not." "Dude, it's on your neck," Zane said helpfully from the third row, already covering his mouth to muffle his laughter. "Did a vampire bite you?" someone called out. "It's a mosquito bite," Rowan tried, pulling up the neck of his hoodie. Blaze leaned back in his seat next to him, stretching his long legs out, smirking. "Yeah, a very passionate mosquito." Rowan elbowed him so hard Blaze grunted. Professor Valencia took a long sip of her coffee and sighed. "Gentlemen, when I said I wanted you to get along, I did not mean carnally." The class burst out laughing. Even Theo choked on his water. Rowan buried his face in his hands. "This is the worst day of my life." Valencia held up a hand, shaking her head. All right. That's enough." After the class ended, Rowan didn't move. Theo patted Rowan on the back. "Hey, I'm proud of you. You guys went from enemies to mosquitoes in like 5 days. Don't ever say that again." Zane nodded. "Seriously though, 10 out of 10 hickey placement. Bold, artistic. I hate all of you." Finally, at Professor Valencia's office, they knocked and the door creaked open. Professor Valencia didn't even look up. "Come in, gentlemen. Sit." Rowan sat stiffly. Blaze flopped into the second chair. Valencia glanced up from her computer. Her eyes narrowed. "You're still handcuffed." Rowan blinked. Yeah. Wasn't that the point? I thought you'd get fed up and saw them off by now." She stood and walked around her desk, fishing into a drawer. "Frankly, I'm impressed. Or disturbed. Haven't decided." She pulled out a tiny silver key. Blaze straightened a little. "That's it?" Blaze asked. "No final trial, please," Valencia scoffed. "I only tortured you two because your bickering gave me migraines." She leaned over and unlocked the cuff with a tiny click. "I thought you guys would have saw them off by now." The cold metal slid off Rowan's wrist. They both stared at their newly free hands. The space between them felt weird. Valencia clapped once. "Congrats. You're no longer enemies, just boyfriends. Now go away." Rowan blinked. "That's it. We just leave." "I'm not gonna throw you a party," she said, already sitting back down. Blaze stood, rubbing his wrist absently. "What if we want to stay handcuffed?" Valencia didn't even look up. "Then buy your own set. I hear the adult store on Maple has a sale." "Professor," Rowan started, red-faced. "Shoo," she said, waving them off like flies. "Some of us have academic things to do." Blaze took Rowan's hand, this time willingly, and not just because of the handcuff. And when they left the office together, Rowan didn't let go. He was still holding Blaze's hand even though nothing bound them anymore. Blaze suddenly tugged his hand. "Come here." Rowan blinked. "What?" "Come here," Blaze said again and pulled him into an empty study room and shut the door behind them. "Okay," Rowan said, heart thudding. "Why are we hiding?" Blaze didn't answer right away. He just leaned back against the door and looked at Rowan like he was trying to memorize him. "Do you feel weird?" Blaze finally asked. Rowan stared. "Define weird. I've been emotionally violated for 6 days straight and woke up to your morning with more times than I can count. So ... I'm serious." Rowan paused. "Yeah," he said softly. "I do." Blaze nodded slowly. "The cuff's off. You could just walk away right now." Rowan looked at his hand. It felt almost naked now. "Do you want me to?" Blaze stepped closer. "You know I don't." Their hands brushed again, this time deliberately. Blaze caught Rowan's fingers and squeezed gently. "I was thinking," Blaze said, voice sincere, "that maybe we don't have to stop this, whatever we've been doing." Rowan's throat went dry. "Is this you asking me to date you?" he said, heart pounding. "Because you're doing a horrible job. I'm asking you if this thing between us is real," Blaze said, "because it's starting to feel like it." Rowan looked down at their hands. "Yeah," he said after a beat. It's real. Blaze let out a soft breath, relief washing through his shoulders. I mean, it's disgusting how real it is, Rowan added quickly, cheeks turning red. Like, I almost miss being handcuffed to you. That's trauma bonding, right? Blaze chuckled, stepping closer, nose brushing Rowan's. Rowan kissed him first this time, and there was no handcuff to blame, no punishment, no dare, just choice. When they broke apart, breathless and flushed, Blaze grinned. So, real couple stuff now. Yeah, Rowan said. I think I'm okay with that. It had been exactly 24 hours since the cuffs came off. And in that time, Blaze had already managed to call Rowan his boyfriend to the pizza guy, the campus security guard, and a confused janitor who'd just been trying to mop the hallway. Rowan pretended to hate it. He didn't. Right now, they were back in Blaze's apartment. Rowan was sprawled across Blaze's lap on the couch. Blaze was kissing him like it was a sport, pulling soft little noises from Rowan that made his ears turn red. Rowan pulled back just enough to breathe. Okay, but seriously, we should slow down. I feel like I haven't had a full thought since we were handcuffed. Blaze grinned, trailing a finger under Rowan's shirt. You want me to stop? No. Just then the front door slammed open. Rowan, Theo yelled. I heard you two are actually dating now, and I need to see it with my own eyes. Oh my God. I told you. Zane's voice came in right after, his laughter echoing across the apartment. I told you they were going at it like animals. Rowan yelped and nearly fell off Blaze's lap, scrambling to fix his hair and yank his shirt back down while Blaze just casually adjusted his hoodie, grinning like he was proud of being caught mid-makeout. What the hell, you guys? Rowan screeched, face bright red. We knocked, Theo said defensively. You did not, Rowan shouted. Well, we meant to knock, Zane said, already flopping onto Blaze's armchair like he lived there. We just got excited. Blaze pulled Rowan back into his lap with zero shame, locking his arms around him. Theo squealed. Oh my God, they're so cute. I'm going to throw myself into out the window, Rowan muttered into Blaze's hoodie. Zane snorted. You say that, but your mouth was halfway down his throat when we walked in. Rowan groaned. Why are you like this? Theo grinned and pulled out his phone. Okay, smile for the official we survived the handcuff curse and now we're dating photo. Blaze leaned in and whispered, smile for our first photo, baby. Rowan shot him a glare, but he smiled anyway. The end.